Good afternoon and happy Aloha Friday. It's Devin. I am your host right here for Manoa Valley Theater Live. Hope you're having a good day. It's sunny outside. I can't believe it. It is our 50th show. And without further ado, please welcome in Mr. Kip Wilborn, our executive director. Yay!
How is everybody today? Devin, how you
I
doing?
know. I'm good. We should be doing this show outdoors since we haven't had sun in so long. It's like, whoa.
No work, go beach.
Yeah, I know, right?
Why not? Be a good place to
We
do
could
it.
we could both use a little more sun, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I'm afraid that Irish
So
complexion. Hmm.
it's been exciting at the theater. I mean, a show opened yesterday with people. Yeah.
What a deal! How crazy is that?
So tell me about it. How was Popcorn Falls
It
opening
was
night?
great. It was great. I mean, these two guys are so fantastic, such great
Mm,
actors.
yeah.
And I mean, when it comes down to it, this is not about the script. This
Mm,
script is okay. It all comes down to getting the right actors, and those two guys
right.
are fantastic. I was having a conversation with John Berger this morning,
Hmm.
and he said, "Oh my gosh, the acting! It was so great." He
Nice.
was
Nice.
just effusive about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a good opening. It's 40 people,
Yeah.
and
Mm,
no after party or anything. So I
right. Right.
didn't have that same tingle feel of
Mm,
full house and everything,
yeah.
but yeah, it was fantastic. We had a
That's
great time.
great.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome. Well, you've got two more weekends, right, to catch the show.
yeah. 2 more weeks.
This weekend and next, and next week, we're gonna do a live broadcast. So make sure you come and check it out,
We'll
or
be
streaming
streaming
rather.
this weekend.
Yeah.
And so, check it out. Go to our website, manoavalleytheater.com, and you can get the details there. And you can
Hmm.
also buy a ticket to the stream. If you're not comfortable yet getting out and getting into the theater, then watch it online. We
Mm.
it, the videos come out beautiful, by the way, because
Okay.
I've been watching it because the guys filming are practicing.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
sure they get the shots they want. It looks great.
Right.
It looks really,
Nice.
really good. But so
Awesome.
we're kind of back to being a theater again. Albeit with small run.
Imagine that.
So
Right.
what we've got coming up, so Popcorn Falls is now
Hmm.
through March 28th. Then Tiny Beautiful Things auditions are this Sunday and Monday, March 21 and 22. Now, there's only a couple of slots left for these auditions. So if you want to get in there, you got to call. It's at our office, 808-988-6131. We've also got stage makeup classes coming up. Well, actually, Andrew, I'll go with you now. Spelling Bee auditions. The 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee are on Saturday and Sunday, April 17 and 18. So we're looking
Okay.
forward to that.
And
What's
that
you got?
one's actually going to be that one's going to be at Kamuki High School, correct?
It's going to be at Kaimuki High School, so we'll be able to have more small audience.
Well, I mean, and also more cast as well. So that's cool.
Yeah,
Looking
it
forward to
is,
that.
and,
Yeah.
and, and
Yeah.
because that's a much larger stage and the situation is different, it kind of lends itself to that. And hopefully
Right.
by then, everybody that wants to be vaccinated will be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So coming up after that, auditions for Daddy Longlegs are Saturday, April 24th. Great show. A star vehicle for a leading lady.
Mm.
Yeah, check it out. Take a look at it. The Daddy Longlegs run is July 1 through 11. Spelling Bee run is June 17 through 27. And then the makeup class with Lisa Ponce de Leon. Andrew, you
We're
caught
just a little bit behind, but it's okay.
Yeah, so that's on Mondays, and that'll be via Zoom for now. And we hope to
There were, in
go.
fact, she posted a couple pictures of her,
Yeah,
I guess practicing or whatever, getting ready. I was like, "Whoa, you're gonna learn that!" So it looks pretty cool.
Andrew, do we have any of that? Did we get that off of Facebook? Well, check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Lisa
yeah,
Ponce de Leon. It's this fantastic, crazy makeup that she did for this. So,
yeah.
yeah,
And the chances you're gonna get a, I mean, we who have worked at Manoa Valley Theater in a show are very lucky because we get gifted with her almost every single time to do our makeup. So we just go, Lisa, just do whatever you got to go do.
right.
But considering how experienced she is, how many Kellers she's won and all that, it's nice to be able to sit down with her and go, okay, well, how do I make this look better? Well, and all that kind of stuff. So
She'll
yeah,
teach different disciplines,
yeah,
info on the different courses. So, check it out. Go to our website. And by the way, we do have a little message from our
Mm.
cast from Popcorn.
Ah.
And I
audience to either come see it live or stream it.
It's beautiful because it's a play about theater. It's about a struggling town. It's a love letter to community theaters kind of all around the world. So there's this really nice sense of camaraderie that comes with it. It'll make you feel really good, and it's a good one to bring the whole family to.
Yeah, and it's about the power of theater and what theater can accomplish, which is great. It can heal wounds. It can bring people together, and just like so many of the theaters that exist in real life, so many different people from so many different walks of life come together for a common good, which is what this play is about as well. And so, it's a wonderful play. I always feel like coming to see theater is unlike anything else. I mean, there's just something you cannot duplicate watching live theater. What it can accomplish and how it can make you feel. It definitely is a experience. All right. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you at Manoa Valley.
Yes, we will. Or live on the internet.
But hopefully in person.
Right, you should come to the theater.
Well, it's a good taste of what you're going to see, I think.
They are so fantastic together, and they were talking last week about how at times something will happen, the other one just kind of looks at them, and the other guy knows what to do. Okay, I've got to say that now. So yeah, it's a lot.
I think I'm looking forward to that the most. Now with being able to see people on stage again, I'm looking forward to the mistakes. Actually, honestly, I mean, and the bad thing is you can't even catch it because they're so good most of the time, and you're in this sort of suspension of disbelief that you don't even realize they forgot an area or forgot to do something, and they circle back. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching. Going, oh, they messed that up. So we'll see.
And you know what? That's why we do live theater. I mean, it is the most fantastic thing, and sometimes the most thrilling moments are when when a piece of the set falls over or something. Okay, so how are we now going to fix this?
You're right.
Do it in a way that stays in the show. I mean, it's so much fun. So.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Kip, thank you so much. Yes, anything else?
I was about to say, and you have, speaking of live theater, you've got a couple that you're going to talk to in a minute about their show, which opened last night. And we're really pleased to have them with us today. And Devin, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Kip. Appreciate it. Our first guest this afternoon is a theater artist and educator and serves as the director of drama education at Honolulu Theater for Youth. He's traveled and taught widely in the U.S., American Samoa, Marshall Islands, Polupe, Guam, and India. And most recently, he's the playwright of Kumukahua's upcoming production of X Other, a micro story. Please welcome Daniel Kellen. Yay!
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
How you doing, Devin?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Just a little history. Dan and I actually know each other from working on HTY shows together. I got to, in fact, one of my very first performances was with Dan doing The Reluctant Dragon. So yeah, it was. We've known each other for a while.
For a while, there's no question.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear that first often nowadays. Yeah, the first experience I had was with Dan. First experience.
And
been around a long time.
And to be nice, you were very gentle, so it was cool.
That's good to know.
Now you've traveled extensively for your work in theater. What was kind of your most memorable experience traveling?
Well, that's a hard question, because
I know.
So many, it's like which place, what time, blah, 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 blah. There's so many things. But I tell you, I like doing theater in unusual places in unusual ways with unexpected situations. And it happened to be on my birthday many years ago that I was working with a local Indian artist in South India in Pondicherry. And I had learned a show with him that he improvised, and he did it in Tamil and I did it in English. And he said, on your birthday, we're going to perform this. So we went to a school and we brought the kids out into a dirt path in between rice fields. And we performed the show under a tree with a cow in the background. And afterwards, I did the kind of the local traditional thing, which was to have a pot full of chocolate, pass it out to all the kids and whatnot. And the funnest thing about it, to this day, I don't really know the whole story of that play because I only learned my part in English, and so I would just know what he was kind of doing, but I don't completely know what he was saying because it was all in Tamil on his side. So it's those kind of experiences that you just go, how can you replicate this kind of thing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what got you interested in doing this? Because you've been a traveling educator for theater for a long time, and you go
Long
to
time.
just the farthest flung regions. I mean,
Yeah.
what sort of inspired you to do that?
I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with this idea of I probably comes from my father to a certain degree, is that my father was a minister and he always looked for the churches that were doing really poorly. So he would go, into these small places where a church was ready to close its doors and then do his thing and, try to revive that thing. And I think it's been the same
Oh
thing for
wow.
me. I just like chasing after these kind of experiences that, if it's a common popular experience, I kind of go, yeah, no, not interested. If it's something that's kind of weird and wonderful and you're out to some place that you have no idea what you're going to get into, it's like, that's what I want to get into because it's going to be full of all sorts of surprises and challenges I just don't know how to deal with. And it will be exciting the whole time.
Well, how do you? I mean, how do you work out the language barrier? Because I mean, you were just saying you did a show with a guy who didn't really. I mean, the show was not in English or not all in English.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you make that
I've worked on
connection?
shows in about 10 different languages, I think, or something like that. But, I found out a long time ago when I first went to the Marshall Islands that really what it comes down to is the fact that this is by having the language difference challenged me to really embrace the idea that theater is a collaborative art form.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand everything, then you have the ability to control it all. But
Mm-hmm.
if you suddenly have to let go of aspects of it, then you really have to trust the people you're working with. And so I trained a level of other people that then worked with the younger ones that we worked with. And,
Mm-hmm.
we would talk about what they're doing and they would bring back and show me it. And it's all in another language. And so I would point out the things that I don't understand because I'm not listening to the language. I'm looking at the theatricality of it. And so each of us would bring, something important to the process and it would truly become very collaborative. I couldn't own it. I could only
Yeah.
be a contributor to it. And I think that made the people that I was working with, who many of them had no experience in this whatsoever, it rose them to the challenge even more. And then I could step
Wow.
back and say, here's the audience. I mean, here's the actors, performing in Marshallese for a Marshallese audience. And I'm not in the way. It's not mine. It's really that connection that's been made there.
Mhm.
And I just helped to, kind of shape it in a way that would make it as effective as could be.
Wow, that's amazing, man. It's
Fun.
it's unreal. I remember when I would hear about, yeah, Dan just went off to Guam and he's been doing some stuff and then he's gonna go to American Samoa and I'm thinking, what?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
yeah, it was just it always blew my mind. I was always very surprised and proud that you were doing all this work.
Well, thank you.
Speaking as the director of drama education for HTY, just real quick, how has HTY sort of pivoted to meet this moment with the COVID thing and everything?
Well, quick. Number one, the
Mhm.
artistic side. Anybody's probably seen The Highway, that they pivoted into that local television
Mhm.
work, and that's
Yeah.
been very successful. And then on the education side, we actually didn't suffer a lot of of changes. Basically, it was just pivoting to virtual space because we do a lot of work directly with students. So as everybody else was pivoting to virtual, we put it into the virtual space. Not always easy, not always the best way to do things, but I think for the school work we did, the schools were just eating it up because otherwise it's like kids sitting in a box. It's like, and we're like going, come on, let's break out of that box and play with the box. And the teachers are like, oh, wow, I never thought of that, that you could get right up there, and make it intense. And the kids, they eat that stuff up. So,
Oh yeah.
that's the first time I've ever taught with both kids and goats, chickens, geese, dogs, cats, but that's the fun of it.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Hey, Dan, we're gonna bring you back in just a little bit. I gotta get to Tari real quick, but we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk story about the new show. Is that cool?
Yeah,
All right.
great.
Thank you very much. Dan Kellen joining us here on Manoa Valley Theater Live. Thank you, Dan. Our next guest has a very impressive resume of teaching and directing, credits to her name. She's raised in Honolulu. She has taught in London and Honolulu and has directed over 110 critically acclaimed productions in New York City, London, and Honolulu. Local audiences will have seen her work at the Hawaii Shakespeare Festival, Kumakahua Theater, and Windward Community College. She's currently directing Kumu's production of X Other, A Micro Story. Please welcome Tari Kinoshita.
Hello, Devin.
Hey, how's it?
How's it?
This is so cool. You know, when before we started this show, Tari and I look at each other going, we like known each other for 20 years, but we never actually kind of knew each other just because you are your reputation precedes you in the Hawaii theater arena. So everybody goes, you worked with Tari, right? You worked with Tari. I'm like, no. So I'm waiting for my chance. Someday I will get a chance to work with you.
Please, you as well. Oh my goodness. Devin.
No.
Did you say Devin?
They're like, run away. Anyway, now you've taught and directed both in Hawaii and abroad. Could you tell us about some of the differences you've encountered between the two things?
Oh, that's a very fun question. So in England, everything has subtext, like literally everything. And I'm of course generalizing here. This isn't 100% true of 100% of the people 100% of the time. But I remember one of my first craziest experiences was, I finished some improv work with some students, and I was like, that was awesome, guys. That was amazing. And everybody kind of sat there like angry and sulking.
Right.
What's happening? And it's because you don't talk like that there. You know what I mean? They assume if you are too exuberant. Like here in Hawaii, man, like you shaka, people stop to let you in.
Right.
Slam on their brakes to let you in because it's all about aloha and being friendly and nice and people are nice there. They're just much more reserved and everything has subtext. Everything has subtext. So I started every time I had a new class or group of people I worked with, I'd always say, "Hi, I'm Tari. I have no subtext. Please just know that everything I say, I mean 100% of the time."
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, just so we're clear.
Right,
And the comedy there as well, of course, is really different. I made the mistake of directing a comedy. Yep. Because that's such a culturally specific thing, I think, right? Like tragedy and horror are sort of, I don't know, almost like they're the same. They're almost same, right? But comedy is so specific. It's like Shakespeare's plays, right? The hardest ones are the comedies. So that's interesting. And in Hawaii, because we're all mixed and because there's no majority, we have such a, I'm going to say it, we have such a more deep understanding, I think, of culture. Our ethnic identity isn't necessarily our national identity. Right. And then and then we have, of course, like local humor, right? It's so important. We can laugh at ourselves and you know what I mean? Like it's so nice. Like
yeah. Oh, for sure. Right. Okay, so your involvement with the Shakespeare Festival. I mean, you've been involved with that thing since almost, I believe, since the inception, right?
Yep. Oh, yep.
It's okay. I was in one of the first shows, so it's totally fine. I get you.
Yep.
What is it about doing Shakespeare that speaks to you as a director, as an actor? I mean, those kind of things.
Oh, thank you. That's great. I will defend Shakespeare with my dying breath. His work is just so powerful, language-wise, right? What he does, sound and fury, all the phrases we get from him, they feel good in actors' mouths, I think. And then there's the timelessness of the the characters, they're always so psychologically complex. His understanding of balance, that there's action for people, but then there's also onomatopoeia and alliteration, and look, he went into archaic pentameter there. There's something for everyone, really. And directing wise, I think there's no greater challenge, right? That really, you got to do your research. You got to,
well, that's the thing. I mean, you've directed just about every sort of genre there is to direct. I mean, is there anything that you're sort of looking forward to next? Anything you got on the horizon? Or you're like, oh, I want to make sure I do something like this before I shuffle off this mortal coil, so to speak.
Right. That's nice. Solid.
Yes, yeah, we dig that in. Yeah.
Well, I've never directed a musical, Devin.
Oh, really?
I never have. I absolutely would. And I've learned sort of over the years that I'm very good at tragedy, and I'm not as good at comedy. I really am not. I'm not.
Yeah.
Because that's something you just need the actors, right? They need to have that timing. That's not something you can be like, oh, hey, like hold a couple seconds there, The
laughs are going to be big. Just trust me on this. Just trust me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I have a question in my little list of things that I'm supposed to ask you. And one is, what are you working on now? But I think we kind of know what you're working on now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Dan, if that's okay. And we will talk about what you guys are working on now, which is X Other, a micro story. It opened actually yesterday over at Kumu Kahua. Dan, can you tell me a little bit about the story? Or Tori, can you both kind of share with me a little bit about the plot, the story, and what sort of inspired you to write it then?
Well, all this time spent in the Marshall Islands, essentially, I have a lot of friends and students and people that I've worked with over time, and there were just a lot of stories that kind of came of all that. A lot of personal stories, a lot of more socially relevant stories, and that just struck me that there was something in there that I felt was important to tell, and I didn't know whether I was the right the vessel to be the one that took all this on and put it into a play, but people were very supportive and sharing thoughts and ideas and responses to me. So I just felt like here's a story, or here's a collection of stories or elements that are unknown even to us in general here in Hawaii, who are the closest neighbors to the Marshall Islands. And it was like I would like to figure out forums in which I can tell the story, and so that's how basically the play kind of fell into place, so to speak. As I just felt like someone needed to hear it.
Yeah. And then, Tori, were you involved fairly early on in terms of the vision for how the show was going to go, or did they say, okay, here's this play, Tori, you directed for us?
Yes, so that was the second one. They said, "Here's this play," and I said, "Does it have to be online?" And Harry said, "Yes, it has to be online." And so I decided that we would film most of the story. Most of the plot is filmed, but there is a narrator character. Leidao, who's based on the trickster god, and so that actor's live, so he'll like freeze the frame and come on, and and it's told backwards. Dan has it told backwards in time, which is really really powerful. And Dan had mentioned, it's a important story, and that was a really great question as well, Devin. And I just want to echo, we had several actors from the Marshallese community, and as we were rehearsing, a couple of them had mentioned, there's a scene in our play where the protagonist gets kicked out. He's homeless. Yeah. And one of them was working as a translator, and he was like, yeah, right now I have two 15-year-old kids out on the Alawai, and it's a story that's happening right now all the time to that community. So I feel really honored that Kumu put it on, that Dan wrote it, that I got to participate in it.
So before we started the show today, you were talking about the fact that it's one actor standing on stage, sort of narrating this thing. Everything happens around him, and he's just sort of like, "Okay, hi everybody, it's
Yeah,
just me." I mean,
yeah.
what was that like for the actor, and how do you, I mean, how do you direct it? How do we? Okay,
Well,
and now is where we point to the screen.
oh, good question. Once we'd filmed the bulk of it, the
Hmm.
bulk of the plots, it
Hmm.
it was kind of fun after that because we get to play with the Zoom and
Mm,
he snaps and he brings on flowers and I sort of tried to explore all the elements that you can online. I have
right.
snow coming on at once, not snow, radioactive ash coming on at one point
Wow.
times and sort of using some of
Okay.
the scenes are backwards because the
Yeah.
play is backwards. So.
You know what's
Okay.
kind of
So
interesting? You know what's kind of interesting
yeah.
about this, Devin, is that when I wrote the
Hmm.
play, of course, I wasn't thinking online at all, and there wasn't any of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I knew
Yeah.
that I wanted to play, or I should say, screw around with the conventions of theater. I feel like every play needs to have its form, not just be the kind of play.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea of the interlocutor, the MC, standing apart from the cast but being a part of it was always embedded into it.
Mm.
That was always a part of it, but in a theatrical form.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is that when Tori first talked to me, she was talking about this use of this new medium, and all the ideas she was coming up with were like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It does translate in an interesting way, a different way, to an online format. And so it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting to see how she explored that, because that was my purpose in writing, was to break convention so that we would hear the story
Ah.
differently than just a kind of like everyday beginning to end story. Yeah,
Mm.
and so I think that she riffed on that in an interesting way, and it was kind of fun to see that as a playwright who didn't intend it that way. But
Well, and I wanted to get into that a little bit because the whenever you're doing an original work, which Kumu is, I mean, they're kind of the leader in doing that. I know taking it from the page to the stage, there's a lot of process. I mean, and Dan, you've been writing for a long time. Tara, you've been directing for a long time. So was there sort of was there taking stuff away, adding stuff in? I mean, kind of you talked a little bit about that, but um, is it pretty much what you envisioned when you first started, or is it like monumentally different? Does it feel a little bit different from what you first started doing?
well, from my standpoint, I can say this very simply. When Tori started asking me about things, I tried to kind of say to her, look, this is your production. It's my play,
Mm.
but it's your production. So I don't
Wow.
want to, impose too much, because
Yeah.
I'll walk away with the play. She won't walk away with the production. It'll be done. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I'll
Mm.
always have the play. So it's like, let's see how somebody takes it, because as a playwright, then I can learn a little bit, because I'm not sitting there forcing someone to do this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Mm.
Although I've seen playwrights do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we've all experienced that a little bit every so often. But Tari, for you, I mean, what was it like sort of taking this thing from, this just the paper on the page and then going, okay, I think this is what Dan wants to do. We can do this. We can do that. I mean, you talked a little bit about that, but if you wanted to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. Breaking the fourth wall, like having that narrator character have that
Mhm.
direct effect on the audience was really important. And then so to capture sort of what Dan intended, everything revolved around that. And then so I finally stumbled upon, hey, if we film the bulk of it, et cetera. But Dan's script was finished. It was worked out. It was very detailed. We had tons to go on. I had a very sharp learning curve with the filming parts. Very sharp learning curve. There's like a scene with like tape on the ground, and I shouldn't say this.
It's okay. It's all right.
And I'm like,
It's done already. It's done. The show is up. We're cool. We're cool.
anyway.
It's fine. It's fine.
But it goes back a
theater.
little bit to what you, Devin, and Kip were talking about. It's like this is the medium we work in. I mean, there are mistakes, things happen, and if Tori didn't take chances like that, what would have been the point of all this? Because we're in an unusual time. So if we're trying to be impressive in an unusual time, it seems like it's the wrong idea. It's like, let's take the chance, and better to fall on our face a little bit, but come away with something that's like, well, that was a cool experience.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So, if people want to come and see the show, how do they go about doing that?
They're going to go right to kumukuhua.org. That's where you just go directly there. And there's right there. I mean, this shows first thing on the homepage. So you can just get right to the find tickets there on kumukuhua.org. And they're doing a pay as you can kind of process this year in their 50th year, because they're really trying to democratize the process of getting people into the theater. So encourage as many people to come in. And, you know, if you can't afford a lot, don't pay a lot. It's okay. This is the year to say, let's give it a try.
That's awesome. Any final words you want to tell people about what they can expect? I mean, I think we've already gathered it's going to be a little bit of an unusual show, just in the structure of the show, and the way that it's presented. But is there anything, when you go into the theater, I mean, some people like to go in completely just not knowing what's happening. They just look at the program and go, okay, yeah, all right. And some people want to have just a kernel of an idea of what to expect in terms of visually. And stuff.
I guess there's a desire to hear about the title, and that might do that. Is that, other with the X in front of it really suggests to me those are the surveys you fill out. And, so many people in this part of the world end up being chunked up into that other category. You know what I mean? As a white man, I recognize the fact that I'm often, top of the heap there in that survey list. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to capture that idea of how even in that format, people get kind of pushed aside. So that X other is just like, who is this individual? What are these people that are so chunked up into this other? And so the subtitle, A Micro Story, was a play on the Marshalls as part of Micronesia. The word micro is small. So it's a kind of a small story in a sense, because it gets, these are stories that get pushed aside because there's not many people out there, and so they can't have big stories or important experiences. So the title was trying to capture the sense of what the play does, which is these stories that get lost in the shuffle, but are really very important stories still to tell.
Awesome.
Can I just do a little shout out? The art actor Noah Schutz and I, because we worked with Brandon Carr, who's in Popcorn Falls, on Way of God. We had the rehearsal a little early that Tuesday so we could rush out and support him, because that was our only chance to see it. And it was fabulous, hilarious. He's brilliant. It was fabulous, and it was so nice to be in the theater as well. Harry said that next season is going to be some more live, hopefully, for Kumukuhua Theater. So fingers crossed.
Definitely. Look at the cross promotion. My gosh, you guys are like professionals, man. So impressive. And Dan, I have to say, I appreciate you taking the time to tell this story, because I know the Micronesian experience, I mean, at least here in Hawaii, has been very different, not only for the Micronesian people, but for those of us who live here. And, there's this giant influx of Micronesians. So I think if you can watch this show and get a little bit better idea of what their experience is like, I think it'll help people understand.
And bottom line, theater is part of the humanities, and that's our job, I think, is to create a space in which conversation can happen, where understanding can happen, where empathy can be provided, where we can dig deeper into the experiences of others beyond our own selves. And so I like to use the medium that way, and I hope people will embrace it in that form.
So true.
See, such an educator. You gotta love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Kellen.
Solid.
All right, Kinoshita. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna bring Kip back on right now. Kind of wrap things up here. Sir. He's wait. Hold on.
Muted.
He's muted. Hang on.
Not my
He was
fault.
very excited. No. Grab that microphone, bring that down. There you go.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. What is this? We got a theater community? Really?
Right.
Exactly. What is this? That's fantastic, guys. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to see it. And Tori, thank you for coming and supporting us and giving the shout out about Popcorn Falls. And listen, if Daniel, if you've got a story you want to tell about Hawaii, come talk to me.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
there we go.
There we go. All right. The challenge is on. I love it.
Yeah. And make sure there's a part for a middle-aged Asian guy. I'm just saying.
Your
know what I
story
mean?
hasn't been told enough yet, Devin. Is that it? We gotta get your story
My
out
story
there.
has not yet been told. I'm waiting. Sorry. Congratulations. Thank you so much again for being on with us. We really, really appreciate it. And looking forward to more success with you. Good luck with the show tonight. And Kip, thank you, my friend.
You, as always.
Yeah. And Andrew and Kristen and Janine all helping us out to put on this show. We'll see you next week for show number 51 from Manoa Valley Theater Live. Have a great weekend, everyone. Aloha.